Welcome back to RXMuscle's Iron Road to the Olympia 2018. I'm Dave Palumbo, and it's brought to you by Redcon One. Visit redcon1.com. Today's guest, Classic Physique Pro Champion in Chicago, and now going to his first Olympia at the young age of 25 years, Wesley Vissers. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. It's awesome to be here for the second time.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You did pretty good. I don't get many people back for a second interview so quickly, but you seem to be a topic of a lot of hot debate out there. A lot of people really very high on you. I mean, the last time we talked to you, you had just turned pro. Now you're going to the Olympia. You won your first pro show. There's people that hate you for doing that. There's people that love you and think the physique is great for the sport. How are you taking all this in?
Well, I've always been quite confident in my ability to win shows, but this has gone even quicker than I thought myself. Because at the beginning of this year, I was nothing and never even competed at the NPC. Right. And now I'm going to the Olympia standing with the best in the world. So to even accomplish that is just absolutely amazing to me. And to be able to stand there is just, you know, it doesn't matter what anyone says. I'm just very happy to be there and to prove myself up there.
Well, everyone always says, I just interviewed Sergio Oliva Jr., and everyone gave him that same advice. For the first Olympia, enjoy the journey, enjoy being there, just have fun with it like you're in Disneyland. Because after that, it's a lot of work, because then you're going to win after that, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Then I know exactly what I need to work on.
Yeah. Now, you know, like I said, I think a lot of people get excited about your physique because you have that Arnold-like appearance. You emulate a lot of his poses on stage. People see the resemblance, obviously, to your physique. But a lot of people don't, like, almost are, like, you know, mad that you're doing so well so quickly. Does the negative, because, you know, what happens is once you start achieving things, you get a lot of negative people that come out in addition to the people who are positive. Does that affect you at all? Do you read all the comments and get upset when people don't, you know, give you praise or they might put you down?
No, I don't really get upset because I still am kind of, I'm not sure why, but every time the top 5 of the Olympia of the Classic Physique is mentioned, I'm usually in the top 5 in any video that I watch. So to be in that top 5 just feels, you know, it feels unique to be there already, even though I've never been on that stage in my life, never even been there. Yeah. But I did notice that after I won the Loyal London Pro in March, there was no negativity at all because I just turned pro. Sure. But when I won a pro show, actually competing against pros, then I did get more negativity. And I think it's because then there were a lot of people who were already trying several times to actually get a pro win. And then I come all of a sudden and win the show, while some people think I didn't deserve it because I lack some parts for the class in their opinion. But in my opinion, I mean, the judges put me first for a reason. So I do think the judges do want to see that shape.
Right. Well, I thought when I looked at the pictures, I wasn't there obviously, but I looked at the pictures. For prejudging, you were your tan wasn't good. But forget prejudging for a minute and forget the tan. When we saw you come back at night, you had a good polished tan on. When I look at the top 5 lineup, all I see is you. It's like my eyes go right to your physique because you stick out so much from these other guys. These other guys look like bodybuilders, and you just look like something else. You look like Arnold standing up there to me, and I think that makes a huge impact on the judges when you have a physique that just stands out like that.
Yeah, that's true. It's not really something you can go in the gym and train. It's something that you either have it or you don't. So when you have it on stage, you really should do your best to present it. I'm just very fortunate to even look slightly like Arnold. So using poses like his with a stature that I have really brings an advantage to the stage for sure.
Do you work on those poses a lot, like and study, you know, how Arnold hits them and stuff?
Yeah, I do. I really watch how he does his poses in Pumping Iron and even in the 1980 documentary, how he trains the posing and actually performing those poses myself. I notice how difficult they are. That's why almost no one does them, because it's very difficult to hit them just right. Right. It takes a lot of practice, but if you do hit them right, they look awesome in my opinion.
Who has worked with you on helping to perfect how you execute these poses?
Mostly the Arnold poses I do myself, just by studying, literally just watching the video, putting it on slow motion, because YouTube does have that function, putting it on like 0.25 slow motion to can really see the movement that Arnold does in the videos. But there's also the owner of the gym that I train at. It's a very good poser himself. So I make the routines together with him. His name is Peter van Drunen, and he trains me a lot. I'm actually doing posing lessons from him, and it's going to be an awesome routine for sure, because this time it's going to be 3 minutes. So it's going to be awesome.
Now, when you watch I've seen Pumping Iron so many times, I could act out all the scenes myself. Now you're studying it for actually how to actually execute the poses. Do you actually can you if you had your friends around, would you do the Arnold impersonation of him explaining to the guy how to hit the pose and not the don't tie it away when you're a big guy, you have to open up. Can you do all that? Can you do the impression?
Well, yeah, not in the same way as him, but I do understand what he means behind it. Like, you really have to open up in certain poses, and a lot of people don't do it. They hide themselves because they don't feel confident enough. They don't feel big enough, but you always have to think yourself as bigger than you are.
Right, right. I love that scene. He's like, the little guys, they hide away, they take it like this. I tell them, you got to open up like that,
That's awesome.
Have you ever been to Vegas before?
No, never.
Chicago, this is your first time.
Yeah.
That's got to be exciting in and of itself.
Yeah, it is. That's why we're staying quite long, actually, because we will be there a couple of days after the Olympia, so we can enjoy the venue for sure. So I'm going to enjoy it.
Look, it's always exciting when you're a guy from another country, who's getting to come to Las Vegas, Nevada, compete in the biggest bodybuilding event in the world, okay? And you're going to be standing on the stage with some of the best athletes in the world, and you're going to really get a true test of where your physique stacks up. For some people, that's a lot of stress on them. How do you handle that? How do you, at your age, be able to kind of cope with what's happening to you in the bodybuilding world?
Well, before there was Classic Physique, I used to have worries like that because I was always afraid that someone could come in a lot bigger than me because there was no restrictions on the weight.
Right.
But now that there are restrictions and I'm quite tall, I do feel quite confident that even though I'm not as seasoned as those guys on stage, even when I'm standing next to them, I do stand my own, and I'm confident in my presentation on stage as well. And I'm just the one thing that I really want to just stand next to the top guys just to see how I stack up against them, because I've never met them, never seen them in my life, so I have no idea. So I just want to see that.
This will be the first time you're going to be standing against some guys that are as tall as you, too, or close to it at least. Yeah. You got your Chris Bumstead up there, who's you're going to stack up really well next to, and a couple other guys that are really tall in that class. So it should be I'm more excited to see the classic guys on stage, to be honest, than the open guys, because I know all the open guys. I've seen them all next to each other already, but we really haven't seen this whole new crop of classic physique guys that have crept up over this past year. We haven't seen them all together yet.
That's true. I think the top 10 is going to change entirely compared to last year. So it's going to be very amazing, because the thing about Classic Physique, what makes it exciting, is that you cannot predict what's going to happen this year. There's so many different good athletes this time. And with the Open, it's always a little easier to predict the top 6. But for the Classic Physique, I would have no idea who is going to be at the top this time.
Absolutely. Now, you're wearing one of your T-shirts from one of your vintage clothing line that you have. Tell us a little bit about that. I was on your website, and I'm like, wow, this clothing is pretty cool. I actually kind of like it. It's different than anything else out there. Was it hard to find a manufacturer to make these type of shirts, since it's not a standard type shirt?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, by the way. I started the Vintage Genetics company a couple of years back, because I noticed that when your YouTube followers start to increase, they kind of want to have something from you to represent you, to support you. Right. So I started a clothing brand, Vintage Genetics, and it wasn't in the Netherlands. It wasn't that difficult to find good manufacturers for the clothing, because there's a lot of, it's a small country, so you can drive for 3 hours and you see the entire country. So you kind of find the factory right away if there's a good one, and there was a good one. So we found one, and we made a lot of good contact with them, and there's so many different clothings that, for example, this one, I just scroll through the clothing and I see this one, and I immediately say, hey, that's a good one to buy. That's a nice idea for design, so I pick that one and then see how it rolls on the site, and if it goes well, I buy a lot more. That's basically how I do it every time, making new designs and seeing how they do.
The great thing about a vintage clothing line is that back in the the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, there really wasn't a lot of fancy fonts and fancy T-shirts. Everything was pretty pretty much, just standard, and it was just the way it looked. So you don't really have to act. You're actually, it's easier to make your clothing line now because the font is nothing special. It just has to look, authentic, so to speak.
Yeah. Old school is basic, and I don't think basic and old school will ever die out. It will always stay relevant. So, the clothing line proves it because it's going pretty well. A lot of people are supporting me, thankfully. Right. I really appreciate that. But yeah, I love the classic style as well.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. Everyone's got to carve out their own niche, and I think I don't think anyone's done what you're doing really, which is smart. Going back, hey, if I'm going to be a classic physique competitor with a classic Arnold look, let me get a clothing line that kind of mimics that. Everyone kind of goes for the most modern stuff out there. You're taking a retro approach, which I think might work to your favor because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, that's true. It's basic in the designs, but also basic in the pricing because the more modern you want to be, the more expensive the materials will be, the more expensive the design. So the clothing that I produce isn't that expensive to purchase as well. So that's a benefit in its own.
If you want, I always say if you want to make money, you got to have good margins, right? And that does come into play. A lot of people try to produce, I'm a dummy. I try to produce the best quality supplements and then I try to sell it and I realize, holy shit, my products are a little more expensive than other people's because it costs a lot to make them. But you got the best of both worlds because you got a unique niche and you got good margins, so you'll be successful.
Yeah, sure.
What's the one piece of advice you give to guys who might be watching this who are kind of trying to emulate you? They're maybe training for their first Classic Physique show and they want to eventually be pros. What's the best advice that you can give that you've learned over the course of your short career?
Well, what I always give advice to people who want to compete, look the show up of the last year. For example, you want to compete this year, look it up last year, see what the winner looked like, and compare yourself to the winner. If you doubt that you can beat the winner, then don't do the show, then build upon yourself. Because if you can't beat the winner of last year, what's to say that someone like that doesn't show up again?
Right.
So you really have to you should only do a show if you believe you can absolutely win, because otherwise you could still go in an off season and train more, build more muscle, especially in the Classic Physique. You kind of have to hit your weight limit first, because why compete if you can still, build 20 more pounds on your frame? You should really go for a good off season and build some quality muscle, work on the posing in the meantime, and when you compete for the first time, blow everyone away right away.
So you're a big believer in not getting on stage unless you're at your best, basically.
Yeah, I do believe so.
Okay, that's some unique advice, and I think people can take that to heart. And obviously, it worked for you. You've been very successful in your competitive career. Is there anyone out there that you want to maybe just plug or give credit to for helping you get to where you are now? Because I know bodybuilding is not necessarily a lone sport. There's a lot of support systems that we have in place.
Oh yeah. Well, without the support system that I have around me, I would not have made it this far for sure. First of all, my parents, who support me very much. My mom and dad have been with me since the very first show, supporting me every single show. They've been there with every single show. My dad has been with me backstage, tanning me, pumping me up, oiling me every single time. So without him, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Are they coming to the Olympia?
He's going with me to the Olympia, actually. The entire family will go. Wow. A lot of friends will go, so it's going to be very busy. We actually have an entire row reserved for just us.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing.
Sometimes that's stressful because it's like you feel like you have to entertain these people, but luckily Vegas has got a lot to do there, so,
Yeah. Luckily, that's the occasion for as many people as that. But yeah, next to my parents, also my girlfriend, who is, every time I've done a show since she's my girlfriend, she's been with me as well to the shows, preparing my meals every time she could, helping me tan as well, being backstage with me.
Right.
She's an awesome support system. And of course, my coach, Ferry Robijns. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that'd be funny because he and Chris Aceto, they do know each other from back in America. They used to go to the same class university, I believe.
Oh, really? So that's funny.
Yeah, that's going to be a funny meeting.
Springfield. Yeah, I think you went to Springfield College.
Yeah, they did the same study, I believe. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Oh, I got to bring it up to Chris.
They both have athletes at the Olympia now, so going to be a medal.
And Chris obviously has got a lot of top competitors in Classic as well, so that's funny. Now, let me ask you this question. Obviously, since you become like a social media kind of star overnight, I'm sure you got a lot of girls contacting you all the time. Does that create stress with the girlfriend because you have all these people who just want to be associated with you?
Not really, because she is luckily a very confident girlfriend. She actually, my Instagram account is also on her phone because I couldn't upload it for a while. So she actually does get my notifications as well, but she doesn't mind at all. She sees a lot of the hearts and stuff, but there's so many messages that I cannot even respond to them. So I automatically just have to swipe them away because most of them are just, nonsense, basically.
Right. I'm sure you get a lot of gay guys also hitting on you.
Oh, there's more gay guys than girls. Trust me.
That's what I always said. I always had more guys after me. I'm like, how come I get no women who are interested in me? It's all guys that want to talk to me. So
that's the straight
pretty funny.
Body.
Well, Wesley, best of luck up on that stage. We wanted to just get you here, get a little update since you won the Chicago Pro and see where your head's at. It seems like you're very confident. It seems like you got everything together, and I think all the little amateur mistakes you worked out on that Chicago Pro stage will not be made on the Olympia stage. And I'm looking forward to seeing that battle up there in that first call-out.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it as well. The first call-out would be my dream come true for sure. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Dave.
All right, and best of luck, and we'll see you in Vegas. For now, though, we're out of time. I'm Dave Palumbo with another episode of RXMuscle's Iron Road to the Olympia 2018, brought to you by Redcon One. We'll see you next time.